we have 4 commits in 2023.
Okay.
Kid from California,
Yep.
Palo Alto, kid from Texas, New York, and Illinois. So we had 4, none from Minnesota. 3 of the kids had never been to Minnesota prior to the visit.
Had they ever seen snow? We were talking about Texas and
yeah,
California.
I know. The
Palo
Texas
Alto.
kid, no. The New York kid, yes. Illinois kid, yes. Palo Alto kid, he was in North Carolina for a bit, Asheville. So,
Got it.
I think there's a perception, and then once you get there, it's different, and people are really excited about it. So, you got green, you got the trees, you got the lakes, we're 2 miles from Mississippi River.
Oh yeah, it's
We're
the most stunning place.
Yeah,
Mississippi River
it's-
divides St. Paul, Minneapolis, the Twin Cities.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. We're 10 minutes from the airport. There's like 13 Fortune 500 companies and
3M to Buffalo Wild Wings,
and-
Target, Best Buy, etc.
General Mills,
Yeah.
Cargill.
We're talking to Abe Woldeslassie.
Woldeslassie, you got it, 100%.
Abe Woldeslassie, okay. Men's basketball coach at Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Correct.
I'm going to give you a little brief bio. So you returned back to your alma mater in 2008, is that correct? Or you were 2008 and you returned back in how many years?
2018.
2018.
Yeah, but I graduated in 2008.
So before that, you were director of basketball operations at a couple different, after you had assistant coach at Siena.
Correct.
And then director of basketball operations at Davidson College in Dartmouth, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So were you were there a little after Steph Curry lit up my Wisconsin Badgers. And we couldn't figure out who this little dude was, man. We're like, we got these guys. And then he just torched us. It was the most embarrassing thing, man.
Yeah, and it's they say don't judge a book by its cover, right? And you look at him, he's got this baby face at that time. Now he's got the beard, but
he's about 200, he was probably, well, back then he looked like he was about 70 pounds wet. Like he was a tiny little dude, man.
What's crazy, so that year, that was 2008, right?
Yeah.
So he was a sophomore at Davidson. I was a senior at Macalester. So I'm 2 years older than him.
Yeah.
I don't know him like that, but so I'm sitting there watching it like you are and all that. And like, man, who is this guy? And then 5 years later, I'm working at Davidson.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just amazing. And I got to meet him a couple of times, and he's a special person.
Seems like a class act of the dude.
Yeah, amazing. But was very grateful to work there and Dartmouth, like you said. And I also worked at Bowdoin College in Maine.
So I was going to ask you about Bowdoin. So we just interviewed, I'm not sure what order these podcasts are going to come out. We interviewed Coach Lloyd just 10 minutes before this, and there seems to be a Bowdoin mafia, man. Number one, did you have to do the secret verbal handshake that is pronouncing Bowdoin correctly? Because it's not Bowdoin.
It's not Bowdoin, it's Bowdoin or whatever. It's Bowdoin. I tell people you take the O out of it. So if you just take the O, it's like Bowdoin.
That's
right?
it. Yeah. The O's silent, as it were.
Yeah. And I worked there for 2 years. I worked for a head coach named Tim Gilbride, who gave me my first start. Right? That was my first college job, and I'm so grateful to him. And then actually after I left, Brandon Linton came in.
I just interviewed Brandon
Brandon's
Linton.
great.
Man, you talk about the Bowdoin Mafia, man.
Brandon, now he's the head coach at Tufts. And then after Brandon, there was a guy named Scott Fosher. He's now the head coach at Assumption D2.
So what is it about that college that creates so many?
Yeah, Coach Gilbride's amazing and was very well connected. He retired a couple years ago, and now Alex Lloyd's the head coach. It's a great league. The NESCAC is really strong. And I think, when you're recruiting to Maine, right? Like you've got to be able to sell that, and that it's not the easiest thing, but it's a great school.
Well, similar challenge to you too, right?
It is. Yep.
So did you learn things in terms of how they recruited there to transpose to Minneapolis, St. Paul area?
For sure, yeah, and a lot of similarities. High academic, D3, no scholarships, winter. Brunswick's more remote, right, than Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah.
Right. So that was a difference.
They don't have punch pizza in Brunswick.
No punch pizza.
Yeah, I mean that's the one that's a recruiting tool in of itself. So before you went to this new job, they were 3-22 when you came in.
Correct.
And then the first year, correct me if I'm wrong, you were 7-18 and 8-17, and then you just kept improving, 15-13, number 6 seed in the MIAC for those of you who don't know, to make the conference championship game. And that 15-win program, just reading some of your bios, the third most over the past 40 years for men's basketball at Macalester.
Correct.
That's an incredible development and building of a winning program.
Yeah, when I interviewed for the job, I met with all the players, and one of the players asked, where do you see this program in 5 years? And
you said.
And I said, we're going to make the first NCAA tournament in school history, and this upcoming year will be our 5th full season. Because of COVID, we only played 4 games. That year was kind of a
2-2?
We went 2-2. I said we went 500 in year 3, 2-2, right? So we went
500, man.
We went 500.
Math is math,
so, right? The numbers are numbers. So, and this upcoming year will be our 5th full season there.
Okay.
And so every senior's job was to push us a step further. And every single year, our winning percentage has gotten better.
That's
right?
incredible.
So from 7 wins to 8 wins to the 500 year to 15-13 to 15-11, and now this year We got our top 9 scorers back. We have all 5 starters back.
Oh, you've got to be thrilled.
Man, I don't want to mess it up. We got the talent now. The talent and the belief and the chemistry and the experience. My top assistant, our associate head coach, Connor Nord, has been with me the whole time. We're going on year 6 together, year 5 full season. So
that level of continuity in coaching must be important, yeah?
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have him, and he was named associate head coach last year. He's going to be a head coach at some point.
So for those people who don't understand what the associate head coach means, being named that's an upgrade from what he was doing before?
Yeah, so he was an assistant coach, right, for 4 years.
Full-time assistant, part-time assistant?
Full-time assistant, and then we have 2 part-time assistants as well. And then he earned that promotion to associate head coach. So he runs our defense. He's our recruiting coordinator. I'm 5, we're in the chair together, but I'm 5'7", he's 6'6". So he works at the bigs, I take the guards.
Got it.
And he's a development guru. So to your point, having that chemistry with the coaching staff and that continuity has allowed us to get to where we are today.
Coach Lloyd, Bowden's a little taller, but I was going to ask you this. Is there a predominance of head coaches that are point guards, 2s in your profession?
Yeah, I think there's that thing of people say, well, point guards are extension of the coaches on the floor.
That's
right?
That's what I'm getting at. I'm going to ask you that.
Yeah, and that's not to say bigs can't be, right? Yeah. But there is maybe even a bias sometimes towards that, right? If you've been a point guard or maybe another guard. So, but hey, shoot, Phil Jackson was a center his whole career. He's got 11 rings. So,
last time I checked, he's not a bad coach.
It has, all different size and shapes and all that.
So when you're recruiting, because you're talking about all different sizes and shapes for coaches, players, the same thing. When you're recruiting, we're here at the all academic basketball, so the AAB Super Bowl in Seal Beach, 2023. When you are out there, there's 100, 200 kids out there, young men.
There might be over 3. I think
3.
by then, yeah.
It's gigantic.
There's a lot.
So when you come here, why do you come here? Number one, and when you come here, how do you assess what you're looking for, or how do you assess the talent that you're looking for?
So in the name, right, you even said it, all academic basketball, right? Yep. And this is called the Super Bowl, right? So this is sort of the culmination of, you have May, June, and then now we're towards the end of July.
So for those people who don't know a lot about this, it builds up to this Super Bowl moment?
Yeah, okay. Yep. And so
from all over the country?
So they have camps in Boston, Seattle, Chicago.
Yep.
I would say this is the largest. The Boston might have more overall players, but I think this has a great variety, and people like come to California, and there are a lot of AU tournaments tied, right around this and things like that. So you have really strong students. It's very well organized. You have a lot of Division III coaches and maybe a few Division II that are here. And it's every year we come here. So
what's the distinction between Division II and Division III?
So Division II Division I gives full athletic scholarships. Yep. Division II can have up to 10 full scholarships, but they can split it. And then Division III, we don't have athletic scholarships, right? But we have academic scholarships. We have need-based. Does that
make your job easier or harder as a coach?
Depends on the day, I would say. It depends on the day, because the easy answer would be it's harder because people say, well, you don't have athletic scholarships. And so you have to educate more about, well, maybe we don't, but an academic and a need-based scholarship can maybe even surpass what that athletic scholarship is at a D2. So
are you working with the admissions departments, the recruitment departments to come up with a composite to cobble together how you bring these kids in, like young men in? How do you do it? How does it happen? What are the mechanics? And I'm asking as a parent, but trying to understand it for people who might not know.
Yeah. So the very first step is you try to figure out, can the student even get into our school, right? So forget about, you could be LeBron James or whoever, right? If you can't get into school, you can't get into school. Mm-hmm. So we ask for the transcript and then test scores.
Yeah.
We give that to admissions.
And people really look at that at your school.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So and then admissions gets back to us usually within 2 to 3 days.
They give you a list of yes, no kind of thing, just simple?
Yeah, and it's sort of a constant thing. So we'll send a few names at a time, and then they'll get back to us, and we'll send a few more names, as we see kids, and then from there. If we feel as admissions gives us the green light to go ahead, and then we really start the recruitment process. So we get to know the kid, the parents, the high school coach, the club coach. I'm
sure it's different at every school, but is it an antagonistic relationship? Is it a harmonious relationship? Is it are you partnering in this dynamic? Is it
with admissions, you're saying? Man, that's a great question. I think we have a very strong relationship with our admissions head.
Yeah.
I know that can be a point of contention, because we might see a kid and he's a really good player and we know he can do the work, but maybe his scores aren't quite there. But so a lot of that's building trust. Now going into my 6th year, building trust and equity with our admissions people, and they know. And now we have a track record, and I take a lot of pride in. We had 9 players this year on our team make the all academic team in our conference. So
that's incredible.
In order to do that, and that doesn't even count our freshmen because freshmen aren't allowed. It's only sophomore, junior, seniors. 9 of our sophomore, junior, seniors made all academic in our conference, which means you have to have a 3.5 GPA or above cumulative. Right. And we have economics majors, biology majors, political science, computer science, statistics. So
how do you balance that out with people with wanting to win, with needing enough practice time? And
it's recruiting is everything, and it's finding. We say you got to find the right academic fit for us and the kid. Yeah. You've got to find the right basketball fit, and you got to find the right social fit. Right, academic, basketball, and social.
Yeah.
And so you go through. You have this funnel where you're talking with a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And then it funnels its way down to, at the end of the day, we'll probably bring in 3 to 5 kids depending on the year.
Okay.
And it's a lot of work. I compare. Did you play baseball?
I played basketball.
Okay, and I played basketball too.
I was a rower. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Baseball. A little bit.
I didn't, but I use the analogy of baseball where. If in Major League Baseball, if you bat 300, right? If you bat 300, you're a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Right. That means 7 out of 10 times you're striking out or popping up.
Yeah.
With us, it's not even 300. It's like 100. 1 out of 10, maybe 2 out of 10 in terms of when you're on the phone and you're getting to know families and stuff like that. Because a kid may get a scholarship at another school, or a kid may not be able to get in, or a kid. Everything checks out, but they choose another school for whatever reason.
When do you start that process, and when did it end up? Because I imagine there's a lot of back and forth, and you're talking to the family, you're talking to the student himself, you're talking to the parents, then you're talking to the admissions, then you're talking to whoever else, your coaches. Yeah. That's a complicated process.
It's a lot. Yeah. So right now we're recruiting the class of 2024, right? So they're going into their senior year.
Yeah.
We started recruiting them, depending on the kid, probably February, March, and then going on.
So for the last 5-6 months, we're in July right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So when you go out there right now, are these young men who are playing out there, are they juniors, sophomores, seniors, all of the above?
It's a mix. I would say the majority are going into their senior year, but there are some that are going into their, majority are going into their senior year. There are some going into their junior, and maybe a very small few going into their sophomore year.
Are you coming to find young men that you haven't seen yet, or are you just basically checking in on the ones you circled?
Both. I'd say both. Okay. So there are kids that we've spoken with for months now that I haven't seen play yet, that now I'm getting a chance to see them. And
you've just seen tape or whatever, quote unquote tape.
Yeah, it's funny because we always say, man, it's not even tape anymore,
no,
right? It's
man.
like YouTube. There's no tape anymore.
Say film. It's like, it's crayon. It's it's zoetrope.
There's no, it's highlights, and it's Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff.
Right. How important is that in your recruiting? How important is it to have an individual have their own Instagram feed and showcase their talent?
It's a starting point. We're actually recruiting a kid who he's not even playing AU right now. And so it's interesting. This is a chance where I get to see him play. Most of the kids do play AU. Most of the kids have Twitter, Instagram. They'll have highlights.
Is that important for them to do that? Or is it just
I always say, for these kids and families, like you have to take control of your recruitment, right? So as much as you do want to lean on your high school and AU coach for advice, you have to take charge, because I like until it's like a 7th grade dance, right? You've got all these kids on one side, you got all these coaches on the other side, and people don't even know, well, do I go? And you don't know who makes the first step, right? And all that stuff.
Bad DJ can't get close and don't touch, all this stuff to be on school.
What the rules?
And what are the rules? Yeah, exactly.
So, so I would highly encourage kids to take control of their recruitment and to have a highlight tape. It might only be 3 or 4 minutes and stuff like that. Yeah. But at least and the thing about highlights, right? It's not the low light. It's everyone makes the shot. Everyone gets the dunk. Right, everyone gets the steal. So
how do you know how to parse that? How do you know how to filter out the truth?
It's hard. It's hard. But
are you looking at just natural ability, or this person? You can. You're obviously a subject matter expert, so you can do some certain things, derive others. Like, how are you able to filter the things out?
It's really hard. It's a starting point. So you might watch a highlight and say, if maybe there's not a wow factor on the highlight, and this is the best of, then we're gonna say, well, I don't know then. But there are a lot of times a highlight looks great, and but maybe the kid's not the right fit for whatever reason, right? So it's just a starting point, and then usually from there we'll ask for at least a half of a game, and it's not
just to be able to watch them
just
play
to see, because we can't be everywhere, right? I'm full-time, I have one full-time assistant, but you can't be everywhere. Right now I'm here with you in California, but then my assistant's in Minnesota, so
doing the same kind of thing.
So right now there's some AU tournaments back home. Yeah. So you watch the highlights, and then again from there you try to get the transcript and the test scores, and then from there, you watch more film and then invite them to campus, and so they can meet the team and go to a class and stay overnight and stuff like that.
So head women's coach, LSU national champion, she talked about sneaking into the games, some random game where there was a blowout, either for or against the high school team. And they would assume it was going to be a blowout. And she wanted to see how the athlete responded during that situation. Do they still play hard if it's a blowout on the other side? Do you do anything like that? Do you kind of do some sneaky Pete?
I'd love to. We don't have the budget of LSU. I would love to. No, but yeah, but we do. A lot of it's just asking questions and asking. What I like to do is talk to a high school coach that coaches against that kid.
Well, so you talked about. So you're interacting with the player, the family, the AAU coach, the high school coach, and the opposing high school coach?
Because an opposing coach doesn't have any skin in the game. So usually they can give you, hopefully, because a coach, you would think a high school coach of a kid will want to push their kid, of course. And an AU coach will want to, and I get that. You should advocate for your kids.
What about the opposing coaches just hating their rival and not wanting to get lit up? So,
but you get different answers. Sometimes you might hear, "Hey, this kid's got a bad attitude." Some say, "Hey, he's not on our team, but we love the kid." And no matter what that coach says, that's necessarily going to make a decision, but maybe it pushes him over the edge in a good way.
You get to triangulate your information, get some.
Yeah, and he has no, like I said, no skin in the game. Yeah. It's just speak your thoughts and what do you think, and so that's our way of trying to maybe get a little bit of edge and a little more information.
Who has surprised you the most out of all of your experience of recruiting?
Which school you're saying, or what?
What athlete? Is it even possible to mention that, or is it possible to answer that question?
What athlete who I've recruited?
Yeah.
That's a hard. I'll just say this because I'm at Macalester right now. So one of our students, his name's Caleb Williams. He is a rising senior for us this year, and from a really small town in Wisconsin. And
what town?
It's called Wild Rose. I don't know if you've ever been.
Oh man, I am from Wisconsin and Indiana. I don't know Wild Rose from
It's kind of near Stevens Point.
Okay.
If you know Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. So Wild Rose only has 750 people. So really, really small town. And so we actually first saw him on a scouting service, then we recruited him and all that stuff. And we talked a lot about our vision because at the time we only had 7 wins, right? So why would a recruit want to come to a school that only had 7 wins? Fair answer. And we said, we want to change this and we want you to have a chance to be the face of this program, right? And so he took a chance on us, came here. He started every game his college career, and he is going into his senior year now and has a chance to be not only player of the year, but an All-American in Division III.
Wow.
He's a physics major. He's academic All-American. He had a 3.91 GPA in physics. Averaged 20 a game this year.
You say you mentioned his academic achievements with the same kind of verve and
I'm proud.
Pride as you do their athletic.
Yeah, because again, at our level, especially Division III, right? And he's a guy that if he wants to play overseas at some level, he'll be able to do that. But he won't make a living playing professional basketball the rest of his life. And so, how can he utilize basketball and put him in a situation where he's a physics math major and he's going to have as good of a college career he's had and is going to continue to have. He's going to have a far greater life beyond that. And so that 391 is part of that.
You've helped young men go to Australia, Belarus, Belgium, Cyprus, Lithuania, Japan, Italy, Hungary, Spain, Russia, Sweden.
All the places I want to play, I wasn't good enough to play at. So, but they were. So
you have a bit of experience placing people beyond your program.
For sure. I take again a lot of pride in that, and I've connected a lot with agents and. Because if our guys have the ability to play overseas, even for a few years, I want them to have that experience. And because, we don't get a chance to study abroad, right? Because we start practice in October,
right?
Play, hopefully through March. So,
have you seen that playing overseas experience? This is a softball question, but has it expanded their worldview?
Yes. So when I coached at Bowdoin, I coached a player by the name of Will Hanley. Will Hanley ended up, so his senior year was all conference.
Yep.
And then he wanted to play overseas. So I reached out to a bunch of agents. He ended up picking an agent.
You're reaching out for him?
Yeah. So I put the highlight together,
sure.
Reached out to the agent, just sent an email, kind of hey, I'm some little 24-year-old assistant coach in Maine at Bowdoin College. But I put the highlights together but he had to, I just cut the film. He did the work,
sure.
Right? I just had to go on the computer and whatever, put the music on and so he ended up going over playing in Spain, and I got a chance to see him play against Kristaps Porzingis, who now just signed with the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
But Kristaps was 19 at the time. Will was 25. And so, but Will was fluent in Spain. So you and I are doing this interview in English Will learned Spanish so well he was able to do
when he was overseas.
When he's over in Spain, so he learned Spanish, and he took French in college, so he didn't even know Spanish. So so when you talk about expanding worldview and stuff, that's only one example, but a really cool example of what's possible. Because I think a lot of kids and parents think, well, if I don't go Division I, Division I, Division II, Division III, JUCO, NAI, there's great players at all these levels, right? And so it's not about D1 or bust. And I coach Division I, right? So I get that. But it's finding the right academic fit, finding the right basketball fit, finding the right social fit, and then you're going to be at a good spot.
So you talk about that experience of interacting with, and your, I guess not just experience, but your approach, your philosophy of interacting with not just the player, but the family, the AAU coach, the high school coach, everybody. How important is it for a player to have an AAU coach or private trainer versus just play at their high school? Is it fundamental now?
Yeah, it's important. It's important. It's not a complete no if they don't, but I just think now it's becoming year round. But we have guys who play multiple sports, and I love that too. I don't think you have to specialize in just one, but usually when you get to college, you're most likely going to play just basketball, whatever that sport is. So we did have a kid this year who played baseball and basketball at Macalester, and then Caleb Williams, who I mentioned before, did basketball and track.
Yep.
That's rare. I would say 95% plus play only one sport in college, but I like guys who do play multiple sports in high school.
When you're talking to a family, a mom, dad, both, what do you tell them about why their child should come play and their family should engage with you for 4 or 5 years?
So I lived it. So I went to Macalester. I graduated from Macalester. I played basketball there. I grew up 15 minutes. We talk about Minneapolis, so I'm very proud to be from there. I grew up 15 minutes away. And there's no one on planet Earth that cares more about this program than me, right? Not one person. Yep. So I believe in it. I've lived it. I did coach Division I for a while, and that was cool, and there were a lot of great things about that. But I came back because I wanted to build a program. Because as a player, we didn't make the NCAA tournament, and now I want to do everything I can to make sure that our players have this opportunity to do that. And so,
and you're returning all these players.
Yeah. So the head coach just can't mess it up because we got the talent. There's no doubt. So.
How many returning seniors? 8, 9, is that what you said?
Our top 9 scorers are returning.
I see.
And all 5 starters. So, we're going to be in the mix. You're not guaranteed anything, right? You still got to go out and do the work, and we'll have a target on our back now that we've never had. That'll be something new for us.
Because you are returning so many players, because your record is improved. Why?
All the above. Yep. Because our record's better. So we went my first year. There's 11 schools in our conference.
Yep.
We finished in 10th my first year. Then we finished in 9th my second year. Third year, we only played the 4 games, so there were no conference games. Then we finished in 6th, and then last year we finished in 4th, right? So you can just see the progression, and now it's time to go win a championship. And that's not to put pressure on our guys or not to – I know there's I don't like giving cliches, but the whole coach cliche of one game at a time, and I get that. But no, we've earned this, and now we just got to go out and do it.
Do you think having those kind of expectations creates more downward pressure than upward lift, vice versa, with this particular unit you're coaching?
I think it's opportunity. I don't look at it as pressure. We're playing college basketball and we're coaching college basketball. There are people who got real life problems so it's not pressure, it's opportunity, and we're excited about it. So hey, we earned it. So now we got to go out and do it. And we say we want to win. Everyone says they want to win. Well, what are you going to do about it? So we're going to find out.
When you're looking at the ideal player out here, are you telling them I need someone who can create their own shot, or someone who fits into a system, someone who can improvise? Like, what are you looking for?
So this is a showcase, right? So by nature, people think, well, I got to score. And these guys aren't on a team, right? I mean, they're on a team in terms of the camp, but it's not like a high school or an AU team. Right. So a lot of these guys don't know each other. They don't even know each other's names. So you try to look for effort right on both ends. You try to look for versatility.
Effort meaning just someone who's hustling.
Who's running on the floor, who dives on the floor, who's running up and down. If the ref makes a bad call, okay, just keep playing. And then I would just say just general decision making, as simple as it sounds. When they're open, do they shoot it? And when they're not, do they pass or make the right play? And it's not about, well, they got to make every shot, because they're not going to make every shot, right? Yeah. We know that. But all things considered, I would say effort, versatility, and decision making are the 3 things I look for.
When did you know you had to be a coach?
When I knew David Stern was going to call my name in the NBA draft. So when I knew that was reality, that was no longer, no. So I wanted to coach in high school. When I was a high school basketball player, I had one of my teachers wrote a letter of recommendation to me for college.
Yeah.
And in that she wrote like, his dream is to be a college basketball coach. And that was in high school. And so now I get to live that dream in the hometown where I grew up, at the school where I played. I graduated 15 years ago now. And so, yeah,
that's amazing.
I've never wanted to really be a high school coach. People say, the NBA, and I've seen that, and NBA is cool, but I love the college level. I love recruiting. I love building teams, developing people, community, and I get to do it in my hometown. So,
darkest moment ever for you as a coach?
My first year as a head coach, after 21 games, I looked at the stats at the end of the game. We were 4-17. I was like, man, I didn't think we were going to win the conference title this year, but I didn't think we'd be 4-17. And that was hard. But you know what? We had 4 games left, and we won 3 of our last 4.
Okay.
So we finished 7-18, and we won our last game. And it felt, so to go from 3 wins the prior year to 7, it felt, I know you say, 7 wins, but from where we were, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. And every senior class we've had has pushed us a step closer and a step closer and a step closer, right?
When you're building from the ground up, when you return to Macalester, when you're building from the ground up, how much of it in the first few seasons is just convincing people to come versus now it seems like your success probably recruits itself, right?
One of our first games, I walk out to the, you walk into the court, you leave the locker room, you go out to the court.
Yeah.
I look up in the stands. There's like 8 kids, and 6 of them are on their laptops. They're on their laptops.
I mean, some of that's just an affect of having a smart school.
Because it was a little bit louder than the library. Like it was like the library is a little too quiet. So I was like, hey, I need something a little louder, so I'm gonna go to this game. I'm like, man, this is so.
That's terrible.
It was but you know what? So we started going to the dorms. We knocked on dorms. We gave pizza slices out and gave schedules out, and so you slowly start. We added student managers. We started doing a little more social media.
What was the idea with student managers? Just buy in there.
Because it gives them, maybe they're not a player on the team, but you're still a part of the team. You have a role. And everyone's got I don't care if you're the best player or you're the last guy on the bench or you're student manager, everyone's got a role. Assistant coach, head coach.
So they become disciples of the program. Get the good word out.
And a lot of them don't, maybe they're not athletes. So now they're bringing, shout out to Ryan Silver out there. And so now they're bringing people who may normally not come to the game.
Yeah.
And then we had students that started to sing the national anthem. And so now they bring some people that might not come to the game. And then we started having youth teams play at halftime.
Oh, wow.
And so
that was all your idea?
Yeah, I'll take credit for that. That was my idea. And so then we had youth teams play at halftime.
So you're building community beyond just the university or
Correct.
the college. You're going out in
St. Paul. St. Paul. And so now you got to think all these youth teams are playing. Well, they're young. They can't drive themselves to the game. Their parents got to drive themselves to the game, right? So now the parents got to come to the game. So now you have 50 more people, and then you start winning a little more. And before
so the accrual of like over the year, did you just build a solid base, or was it over the years?
Yeah, over 5 years. Over 5 years we've been doing this.
But you saw an appreciation of people coming to the games even throughout this first season?
Yeah, because you got to think we're in a professional market where you have the Minnesota Timberwolves, you got the Minnesota Wild, you got the Minnesota Vikings, you got the Minnesota Twins, you got the Lynx, you got MLS soccer. It's a pro sports town. And so why are people going to come see us? Well, if they have a tie, man, the coach reached out to me, the player reached out to me, the student manager. Now, hey, I want to go support that team, right? Whether they're winning or losing. And then now they're starting to actually win. So then people say, wait, what's going on? They used to be bad, now they're. So, but it's been 5 years of that. And we're going to keep doing it and keep building it. And now we're at the point where we went from, I think, 9th or 10th in attendance my first year till we finished 2nd in attendance this year, and out of 11 teams. So
that's fantastic.
Again, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's worth it.
How long are you here, Macalester?
Man, I want to be. It's home, So what I would say is, I have treated every job that I've been at like it's my dream job. Period. No matter what. And so I'm not looking for anything at all. We got a lot of work still to do at Macalester.
Have you already left your fingerprint on the program? In your humble opinion?
I like to think so. I take a lot of pride in it. I mean, you see me. I don't know if this. I'm wearing the shirt. And I said this in the interview. I didn't come home to lose. I know too many. I know you live in Minnesota too, but I know too many people back home to be losing. That's. I'm not going out like that. So, so we're gonna do everything we can to compete and put out a product there and to develop kids. And there's this old thing of jocks, right? Well, you can't be a good athlete you can be a really great. I say there's three things. There's academics, there's basketball, and there's social, right?
Yep.
And I tell our players, I want them to go to parties and socialize, but you can't be an all-American academic, you can't be an all-American basketball player, and an all-American partier. You got to choose two of the three, right? You can still go to parties and socialize. That's important. And we tell them you should go. I don't want them in the library at midnight on a Saturday, because that means you were procrastinating some other part to where now you're scrambling. Right. So there's enough time for school. There's enough time for basketball, and there's enough time for socializing. You just got to prioritize, because now it's men's basketball. High school is boys basketball or girls. College is men's or women's basketball. So we're preparing these guys to be men. And I don't wake them up. We don't, hold their hand. We give them guidance, and we're here to support you, but they got to do the heavy lifting.
How many laptops are in the stands now?
None. It's too loud in there now.
Beautiful. One last thing. If you were to tell a player out there on the court or anyplace else that someone you're talking to who could potentially come play with you, what's the one or the most important thing you would tell them?
About our school, or just
about how to prepare to try to get to play for you? Yeah,
I would just say in general, and I said it a little bit earlier, you have to take control of your recruitment. Like, I tell our players all the time, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Or closed mouths don't get fed. You hear, it's the idea of you want to be humble, right? Humility is a great thing.
Yeah.
But you also have to be confident, and you have to advocate for yourself. So like, as a coach, why would I want a player if they don't believe in themselves, right?
Yeah.
And why would a player want us if we don't believe in what we're doing, right? Like it's a two-way street, and we're not for everybody, right? Like, Minnesota winters are cold, and some kids don't want to be in a city. They want to be in a smaller town, or they want to be closer to home, whatever that is. But it's finding the right fit for them, and don't get caught up in. Social media is a great tool. Some people bash it, and they should. It's a great tool, but you have to use it wisely, and you have to advocate for yourself. And at the end of the day, you can only choose one school. I don't care if you have 5 offers or 10 or 50 or 100, you can only choose one. So the sooner you can eliminate what you don't want and figure out what you do want, you're going to save yourself time, you're going to save these coaches time, and you're ultimately going to pick the right fit.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic chatting.
I hope whoever's listening enjoys it, and go Macalester, go Scots.
Go Scots.